A very good afternoon. It's the 13th of October 2023. Welcome to the lunchtime news here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Before we take a look at the stories that we've got for you in detail, let's take a look at the headlines. UN strongly appeals for evacuation of people in Gaza. President takes over Environment Minister portfolio left vacant by Nazir expulsion. Heavy showers in many parts of the island today. Debris from the landslide near the 101st kilometer post of the Southern Expressway still not completely removed. New Zealand to clash against Bangladesh in the ICC Cricket World Cup today. In your latest updates from the ongoing Israeli-Palestine conflict, a UN spokesperson said the Israeli military has told the UN that everyone living in north of Wadi Gaza should relocate to southern Gaza in the next 24 hours.
The UN says this amounts to approximately 1.1 million people, about half the population of the entire Gaza Strip. The affected area includes densely populated Gaza City. The alert was given just before midnight, Gaza and Jerusalem time. The UN said in a statement, quote, "The United Nations considers it impossible for such a movement to take place without devastating humanitarian consequences," end quote. Israel have been preparing for a ground offensive, gathering soldiers, heavy artillery and tanks on the border of Gaza. It has been launching airstrikes on Gaza since Saturday after Hamas's militant surprise attack on Israel. Further, the UN strongly appeals for evacuation order to be rescinded. Liaison officers in the Israeli military had told UN team leaders in Gaza about the evacuation order. That order also includes all UN staff and those sheltered in UN facilities, which include schools, health centers and clinics. The UN Security Council is due to hold an emergency meeting on Friday afternoon in a closed consultation format. The US, UK, China, Russia and France are permanent members of the UN Security Council. Human Rights Watch said today in releasing a question and answer document on white phosphorus that Israel's use of white phosphorus in military operations in Gaza and Lebanon puts civilians at risk of serious and long-term injuries. Human Rights Watch verified videos taken in Lebanon and Gaza on October 10th and 11th, 2023 respectively, showing multiple airbursts of artillery-fired white phosphorus over the Gaza City port and two rural locations along the Israel-Lebanon border, and interviewed two people who described an attack in Gaza. White phosphorus, which can be used either for marking, signaling and obscuring or as a weapon to set fires that burn people and objects, has a significant incendiary effect that can severely burn people and set structures, fields and other civilian objects in the vicinity on fire. The use of white phosphorus in Gaza, one of the most densely populated areas in the world, magnifies the risk to civilians and violates the international humanitarian law prohibition on putting civilians at unnecessary risk. Two officers were wounded, including one seriously, in a shooting attack Thursday night near Shalem police station on Salah al-Din Street, just outside the Herod's Gate entrance to Jerusalem's Old City. The gunman fired a number of shots at police officers standing outside the building and then ran away. The police said as he was trying to escape, officers ran after him and killed him on the spot. The two wounded policemen were immediately taken to a hospital.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau convened a press briefing to elaborate on the situation faced by Sri Lankans residing in Israel.
අතුරුදහන් වී ඇති නැත්නම් තොරතුරු නොමැති ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් දෙදෙනා හැරුණුකොට වෙනස් සිද්ධියක් වාර්තා වෙන්නේ නැහැ අද දිනවන තෙක්ම.
As of today, apart from the two Sri Lankans who are missing, such incidents have not been reported. Lives of people living on the outskirts away from the Gaza Strip are normal. According to the Sri Lankan embassy, people's lives are 90 to 95% normal in areas like Tel Aviv and Haifa. An ambassador in Israel has requested financial aid for the Sri Lankans affected by the conflict. Accordingly, the Foreign Employment Bureau has directed approval for a $10,000 package. Commercial flights are still operational. For any Sri Lankan that needs to return to the island, they will not operate in the regular manner. According to reports, there will be a considerable increase in the prices of airline tickets.
ගුවන් ගමන් ප්‍රවේශ පත්‍රවල මිල සැලකියුතු මට්ටමක වැඩිවීමක් ඇති වී බව තමයි ආරංචි මාර්ග වලින් සඳහන් වෙන්නේ.
Speaking to News First this morning, Sri Lanka's ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, said the embassy has received financial grants sent from Sri Lanka.
Today is the public holiday, today and tomorrow. However, the embassy is open for their inquiries and grievances. If there's anything, they can communicate with us through the social media and the telephone line. 6 people we are working continuously to monitor this situation. From Colombo side, actually, the president has given the advice to provide the facilities for Israeli people through the ministries and the government entities. Under this, the decision yesterday, we received $30,000 as a grant to the use if there's any emergency situation in Sri Lanka. Government of Sri Lanka through the Foreign Ministry, we received the $20,000 and the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment has given the $10,000. We are using those funds if there's any emergency situation occurred in the country. Apart from those, the activities, even the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well as the Presidential Secretariat form the 2 committees to monitor the situation. We are linked with them and we are sharing our information with those people. And if there's any emergency situation, we are collectively like to work as a team from the Sri Lankan side and embassy side. And also we would like to get the appropriate action if there's such the incident happened in the northern side of the Israel today.
The Department of Meteorology predicted showers or thunder showers over most parts of the island during the afternoon or night. The department predicted fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters in the Uva, Central and Eastern provinces.
Due to showers in Kandy and its suburbs from last afternoon to midnight, many low-lying areas around the Polgola Reservoir have been inundated. 3 sluice gates of the Polgola Mahavali Dam were opened this morning. The Polgola Dam Engineers Office said a water capacity of 5,000 cubic feet per second is being released to the Lower Victoria Reservoir from the Polgola Reservoir. News First correspondent said tanks are reaching spill level due to showers experienced in the Hambantota district. Paddy fields in several areas, including Nonagama, Lunama and Ambalantota, are inundated as water levels are not receding. Several areas along the Baddegama Agalia Road and farmlands and by roads on either side of the Gin River in the Divitura Divisional Secretariat in Valivitia are inundated. A section between the Baddegama Meemaduma Bridge and the road has sunk last night. Officials of the Baddegama Divisional Secretariat had visited the site to observe the situation this morning and temporarily suspended the use of the bridge due to the dangerous situation. News First correspondent said the area residents are severely burdened as a result. The water gauge of the Nilwala River in Panadugam Akurasa has dropped to 6.41 this morning. News First correspondent said the water levels are gradually receding. However, some areas are still underwater. News First correspondent said the Corps of Sri Lanka Engineers of the Sri Lanka Army is working to construct an access road to remove piles of the canal today. The landslide warning issued to several divisional secretariats in 7 districts was also extended last evening. The landslide warning is in effect in several divisional secretariats in the Gaul, Mathura, Hambantota, Kalutara, Kegol, Ratnapura and Badula districts.
Today marks the Disaster Risk Reduction Day.
The International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction was started in 1989 after a call by the United Nations General Assembly for a day to promote a global culture of risk awareness and disaster reduction. Held every 13th of October, the day celebrates how people and communities around the world are reducing their exposure to disasters and raising awareness about the importance of reining in the risk that they face. This year's International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction addresses the connection between disasters and inequality with the theme Fighting Inequality for a Resilient Future.
Minister of Environment portfolio held by Nazir Ahmed has been taken under the purview of the President through an extraordinary Gazette notification.
The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress took legal action against Nazir Ahmed, who was a member of the party, for accepting a ministerial post outside of the party stance. Nazir Ahmed lost his parliamentary seat due to court order.
The debris left after the landslide near the 101st kilometre post of the Southern Expressway has still not been removed. As a result, the expressway from Pinnaduwa to Imaduwa is still closed. The landslide occurred in 2 instances, injuring a police sergeant and 6 STF personnel.
The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation says that the scheduled passenger ferry service between India and Sri Lanka will start from tomorrow.
Secretary of the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation KDS Ruwan Chandra said that the ferry service will be operated according to the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the two countries. He said that a ferry carrying 100 passengers from India will reach Kankasanture to mark the inauguration of the ferry service. The ferry, that will take a total of 3 hours, connects Nagapatnam in Tamil Nadu, India and Kankasanture in Jaffna, Sri Lanka.
The first ferry service from India will reach Kankasanture on the 14th of October. This is the first time the ferry will reach Sri Lanka. We believe it will reach Sri Lanka at 11:30 am. After docking for 2 hours, it will return to Nagapatnam, India with Sri Lankan passengers.
ඉන්දියාවේ නාගපට්නම් වරාය දක්වා යාත්‍රා කරනවා ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ඉඳන මගින් සහිතව.
In more local news, one person died in an accident that took place in Balagolla, Mahava this morning.
The accident took place when a small lorry veered off the road and collided on a tree. A 25-year-old male in the lorry died in the accident. According to our correspondent, another person travelling in the lorry who was injured in the accident was admitted to the Mahava District Hospital. A van travelling on the Habarana-Trinka road has collided with an elephant in Kitullutuwa, Habarana. According to our correspondent, no injuries were reported. Authorities believe the elephant is injured and a search operation has been launched in the Kaudulla National Park.
A special discussion will be held today between the Federation of University Teachers Association and President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Vice Chairman of the Federation of University Teachers Association, Senior Lecturer Charudatta Ilangasinghe has said issues in the university system will be discussed during the meeting with the President. He also stated that he is looking forward to discuss the issues faced by professionals and the President's recent promises to solve the related problems. Meanwhile, the President will be having a special discussion with the Government Medical Officers Association this afternoon. Dr. Chamil Vijay-Singha, the media spokesperson of the GMOA, said that the Executive Council of the GMOA will participate in the discussion. The Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable notes that the work continues towards reaching an agreement in principle with official creditors on specific restructuring terms for Sri Lanka. The roundtable is co-chaired by the IMF, World Bank and India and comprises official bilateral creditors, private creditors and borrowing countries.
The Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable reviewed progress in reaching common understanding on ways to address key impediments to efficient debt restructuring on Thursday. The IMF said that the GSDR discussed the priority areas for the work going forward. According to the GSDR co-chair's progress report released at the end of the meeting, significant progress has also been made in actual debt restructuring cases, including Sri Lanka. However, the time period taken for the programs is still beyond the 2 to 3 months that were observed in the past. The report added that for Sri Lanka, the financing assurances provided by an ad hoc committee of official creditors comprising the Paris Club and India and co-chaired by France, Japan and India and China enabled the approval of the fund-supported program in March 2023. It added, since then, the work continues toward reaching an agreement in principle with official creditors on specific restructuring terms. The report said in parallel, the authorities have concluded the restructuring of some of the domestic debt and are in active negotiations with Eurobond holders on a restructuring plan. The GSDR progress report was released by the International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, World Bank President Ajay Banga, and Finance Minister of India Nirmala Sitharaman, co-chairs of the GSDR.
According to a Reuters report, Sri Lanka's private creditors have sent a proposal on how to restructure $12 billion of overseas debt, including a new type of bond designed to ease repayments in case of future economic pressure.
The proposal sent on the 2nd of October provides a write-down or haircut on both capital and interest, added the sources who declined to be named because the talks are private. It foresees issuance of regular sovereign bonds and also of so-called macro-linked bonds, which will automatically lower coupon payments starting in 2027 if Sri Lanka fails to meet some of the economic targets linked to its International Monetary Fund program. Representatives for the government did not respond to a request for comment. A spokesperson representing the creditor committee did not reply to a request for comment. One of the sources said the overall proposal includes an option for creditors that combines MLB notes with a regular bond and a second option of regular bonds with a value recovery instrument. The sources said the macro-linked bonds were included to ensure the new instruments would be index eligible.
The G7 finance ministers and central bank governors on Thursday welcomed the significant progress at the official creditor committee towards agreement on debt treatment for Sri Lanka and said that they look forward to its swift resolution.
Minister Suzuki, my question is to you. In the G7 finance ministers and governors statement and in your comments you said that I apologize for that you have welcomed the progress made with regard to the debt efforts in Sri Lanka. My question is, China yesterday announced that they have agreed to give 4.2 billion in debt treatment to Sri Lanka, and was this discussed at the meeting that you attended? And also, would this progress, would this achievement made by Sri Lanka also be of significance to the debt resolution efforts, or will there be further delays in the debt resettlement? Thank you.
Well, thank you for your question. As you know, middle-income country, Sri Lanka, that is, the debt restructuring for Sri Lanka is outside of the common framework of G20. Therefore, Japan, Germany, and India, Japan, France, and India became the co-chairs. Japan, France, and India serve as co-chairs to establish and we have started a new framework. In the beginning of this year, we already had a meeting. That awareness is shared amongst G7. Therefore, based on the shared understanding, we are to push ahead with this initiative, so that it was welcomed.
The second leg of the LOLC Divisavia program will provide school books and stationery items to schools with less than 100 students. Students will be provided school books and stationery for a period of 1 year under the program. This world initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC group and the Ministry of Education. Students from schools including the Veerachole Tamil Vidyalaya, Annamalai Sri Shakti Vidyalaya, Namagal Vidyalaya, Kannahi Vidyalaya, Alhira Vidyalaya and Ahadiyar Vidyalaya were gifted school books. School books and stationery items were also gifted to students at the Akkarepattu Zonal Education Office this morning. The LOLC Divisavia program will continue to create a bright future for the country's student population.
In your sports news, New Zealand will face Bangladesh in the ICC Cricket World Cup today.
The official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023. official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023.
This is the 11th match of the ICC Cricket World Cup hosted by India. New Zealand have won both the matches they have played and are currently leading the points table. New Zealand will face Bangladesh under captaincy of Kane Williamson. New Zealand side will consist of Vice-Captain Tom Latham, Devon Conway, Rashin Ravindra, Matt Henry, Tim Southee and Trent Bolt. Bangladesh led by Shakib Al Hasan won 1 out of the 2 matches they have played and are ranked 6th in the points table. They lost to England by 137 runs. Bangladesh side consists of Mushfiqur Rahim, Mahamadullah, Taskin Ahmed and Mehdi Hassan Miraz. New Zealand has won 30 out of the 40 encounters they had with Bangladesh in World Cup so far. Cricket fans can watch and listen to all the action of the World Cup via the MTV MBC network, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament. The matches are being streamed live on www.sirisatv.lk.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I've been Sanitha Senanayake. Take care and stay safe.